Okay, guys, welcome to today's session. So today we're going to talk about oils for all ages. And this is the fourth session of our natural solutions calls. And hopefully you will be able to see this recording in our website. And for those of you who are joining live, if you have any questions throughout the call, you can just send us a little message on the chat. And at the end of the session, we'll have a moment for questions that you can share with us as well. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and just to show you a little bit of what we're trying to talk about today. Just give me 1 second so I can actually do that because it doesn't seem to be able to do it. Okay, great. So can you let me know if you can see this PowerPoint presentation? Can you see that? Is it all good?
Yeah.
Right. So if you have your video on, you can switch it off now just so that your video is not in the recording. And we'll start. So today we're going to talk about the kids collection. So there is a collection of oils that are designed strictly for kids, but well, not strictly, but specifically for kids. And then you can also use them as an adult, or you can, if you have if you know of somebody, or even yourself, if you have sensitive skin, it's actually a really good idea to use the kids collection instead of diluting your own oils, just because they're diluted to a safe ratio that can actually be absorbed by the skin really well without offering any sort of irritations or reactions. And we're also looking to talk a little bit about tips for diluting and how much you should dilute, especially for kids and babies. And then aging with the oils and certain tips of how to use the oils for those people who are a little bit afraid of how it should feel to use the oils if you have any existing health conditions or anything that might kind of come up or appear later on in our lives. So there are some tips to use the oil safely, topically and aromatically, to help support any issues that you might experience later on in your life, or maybe a loved one might be experiencing now. So the kids collection is a unique collection, and it's basically these 6 bottles that you can see here. And there's a couple of really interesting things that they have kind of put together. The fact that it comes in a bag, and the fact that they all have those little carabiners that you can actually hook to the kid's bag. That makes it very practical for them to use. And they come with flashcards that give the kids like an idea of what oil works for what, if the kid can read, but also if you're just leaving your kid with a babysitter or a carer, they can inform themselves of how to use the oils and just give themselves a little bit of extra options when the kid might not be feeling entirely all right. The kit contains, there are 10 roll-ons, and they're all diluted with coconut oil. And I'm just going to go over those 6 ones one by one. So Calmer is the restful blend, and this would be kind of Serenity. If you've been using essential oils for a little while, the blend Serenity is that one that helps you sleep better, that gives you a little bit of a relaxation kind of time before you go to sleep. And it's interesting, here on the right, you can see the ingredients that it has. So if you're not interested in getting the kids blends or the children's kit, you can actually make your own Calmer blend. So if you have lavender, for example, and Roman chamomile, or any of these 4, or one of them, or whatever, you can try to mix it up with a similar oil. So you're basically just trying to get to that sense of being calm and relaxed before bed. Again, these oils don't only need to be bought as a kit, they can also be bought individually. So if you know that you need some help kind of resting, or if you know anybody who does and might be a little bit sensitive to the oils being applied topically, this is a safe one to share with them. Then you have Thinker, and Thinker would be equivalent to In Tune, which is an oil that doTERRA already has. They've been making for ages, and it's this focus blend. It's all about finding concentration. So it's been devised for kids when they're about to go and have like an exam or a quiz, or if they have to revise. But even for adults, if you feel like you have a bit of a scatty mind and you want to kind of find that focus and that concentration, this one has peppermint, vetiver, clementine, and rosemary. So rosemary, we might all know that it's an oil that is actually great, and it's been proven to help memory and to help you find remember things that you've already revised or studied. So you can actually make your own blend. If you might not have one of the, so for example, I don't have vetiver in my collection, but I have peppermint, I have clementine, and I have rosemary, so I can make my own thinker blend without the vetiver, and it might still be really it might still smell really nice, and it might still have the benefits with some coconut oil, just diluting it. Then you have Brave, which is also part of the kids collection. And it would be, in my opinion, I think it's from reading what it does, I think it would be similar to Elevation. If you've tried Elevation, if you've used it, it's that kind of courage, that it gives you that sense of kind of going for it and being a little bit more yeah, just having that sense of passion. There is a blend also in the aromatherapy kit that is called Passion, and it gives you that sense of like going and getting something, and Motivate is another blend in that aromatherapy kit that would be similar to what Brave is trying to do for the kids. So the oils here would be wild orange, cinnamon, and osmanthus flower, which are similar to, I would say it's a similar oil to that Motivate blend. So I would recommend, if you have tried Elevation and you might feel it's a bit too sharp, and if for any reason you don't like Motivate, then this is a great option to have to hand. If you're thinking about using these sort of oils with kids, think about moments where they might feel a little bit uncertain, such as, for example, before a show, if they're doing like a show in school, or if they have a game coming up, like a sports game or an exam. They can just use it and roll it on in the tummy or the bottoms of their feet for confidence, and to feel that kind of ready to go. That would be very cute. And then you have Stronger. Stronger would be similar to On Guard. So it's a similar idea behind protection and enhancing your immune response. So again, you can apply it to the back of the neck and the bottoms of your feet when you're not feeling amazing. And this one's got rose, cedarwood, and frankincense, and litsea. So litsea is an oil that you can't really get on its own. It's not a single oil that is available to buy on its own. But all the other three, so rose, cedarwood, and frankincense, are available to buy on their own, and you might already have some of them in your collection. So you can make a little variation. So maybe if you don't have rose, there is a similar oil to that that might be worth kind of looking into. Perhaps jasmine would be a great option to rose. Maybe even geranium. So frankincense, as you know, it promotes cellular health and vitality. So for kids, this is a kind of like a must. If they're feeling unwell, to actually be able to put into words how they feel, that's part of the kind of social development and the emotional development of the child. And these roll-ons from this kit give them the option to kind of identify their emotions and identify how they're feeling, and then kind of feel empowered to take care of themselves. And those flashcards that come with the kits give them tips on where to apply them, and give them tips of like, well, maybe if you're feeling this way, this is the oil that you might want to use. So I think it goes further than just giving them an option to feel better physically, but it also gives them an option to actually identify emotions, which is quite key in the development of the child. Then you have rescuer, and rescuer would be equivalent to deep blue. So it's got copaiba, spearmint, an oil that I can't pronounce, and lavender. So xanthocillum. Yeah. I mean, that's clearly not available as a single oil, but the other three are, and perhaps they're available in your collection. So copaiba and spearmint, we recently had some offers through doTERRA with those two. So maybe you have them in your collection, and lavender is pretty much like a staple oil. So if you've used deep blue rob in your past, like so far, like I have it right here, like it's part of my like my everyday kind of go-to product. um Perhaps deep blue would be a little bit too strong for a child, or even for an older person that might have delicate skin. But both older people and kids tend to suffer from joint pain. Kids do so because they have growing pains, and they're experiencing that kind of transition, that development. And older people might be experiencing things such as arthritis or other joint issues. So if they have sensitive skin, older people, then rescuer would be a great alternative. um, and for kids, this is just a great way for them after coming back from, again, a sports game or being outside and running around for a while. This is a great way for them to kind of treat themselves and stimulate circulation of blood through the muscle layer, which clears out any blockages and any knots that tend to produce pain in the body. Then you have steady, which is the last one of the kit, and it would be a similar thing to balance. So if you know balance blend, you would know exactly what this blend is going to do. So it's got balsam fir, coriander, and magnolia, and those are very grounding smells. And you kind of get the same idea of applying it when you feel nervous or you have anxious feelings, and you would apply it to your neck and your wrists just to kind of calm your emotions and balance yourself out. um, if you have if you know a kid, or if you have a kid that feels quite excited too often, and it's a bit too up and down, this blend would be wonderful for them to kind of use on themselves when they feel like they need to maybe kind of relax a little bit, maybe for preteens that you can kind of have a conversation with. And nowadays, without trying to go too deep into it, but you know that social media and those sorts of external inputs from society and their peers can cause quite a lot of unstable emotions. And steady blend would give them that sense of peace and calm in similar ways to how balance does it. Cool. Let me see if there is any questions so far. So if you've just joined, there is an option you can chat with me, and there is a little bit of time in between each kind of section of the presentation for us to have to answer questions, and there will be a little bit of time at the end as well. Okay, so I'll carry on sharing my screen. So then when it comes to dilution, you want to always dilute the oils, no matter how old you are or the person that you're applying the oils to is, for two main reasons. So the first reason is so that the oil is, there's a layer of coconut oil underneath the oil, so the essential oil is absorbed by the skin better if it's diluted with coconut oil, so it doesn't evaporate, because those are volatile compounds. So your essential oil is volatile, which means that it's very quickly kind of floating into the air, and the coconut oil creates a layer that covers the skin, and it gives your skin longer time basically to absorb the qualities of the oil. So that would be the first reason for you to dilute. The second reason would be just an economic one. The oils are so pure that you don't really need to apply them directly. So unless you're obviously using them for, I don't know, cooking or other more specific things, but if you're going to apply them topically, dilute them. Otherwise, you'll be wasting oil unnecessarily. When it comes to kids, diluting is paramount. You really do need to make sure you dilute the oil. And there is different ratios. So if you look to the chart here on the left, depending on how old the child is, so from 0 to 12 months, you can do anything between, if you're basing it on a 10 ml bottle, you can do 1 to 5, 6 drops and top it up with coconut oil. Bear in mind that this varies considerably depending on which oil you're using. So if you're going to use an oil that in itself is quite strong, so say, for example, peppermint, you might not want to put more than 1 drop. If you're going to use an oil that is citrus and you're in a place where it's sunny, I would avoid applying oils topically on a baby or a 1-year-old that that might cause photosensitivity, and we'll talk about that in a little sec. But if it's oils that are a little bit kinder to the skin and more compatible with skincare, such as lavender or ylang ylang, or again, geranium, frankincense, then you can kind of modify the ratio and perhaps make it a little bit more noticeable. Then, 1 to 5 years, you can apply maybe more drops of the oil and then top it up with fractionated coconut oil. And it goes up depending on the years and the age of the child. So based on this and just trying to keep it as safe as I thought we could, you would then have here on the right, kind of the ratio for babies, for toddlers, and for 6 to 13-year-olds. So about photosensitivity, it's just a rule of thumb that all citrus oils are photosensitive except from green mandarin, which means that if you apply the oil, even if it is diluted, if you apply the oil onto your skin and then you go and expose yourself to the sun, you might get a reaction in your skin. So it might either get darker or it might get irritated. That's just due to the citrusy, the acid in the oil. So you don't want to risk that. So I would say either use it around this time when there is no sun, not so much sunshine, or make sure that you cover yourself if you're going to apply citrus oils anywhere in an area in your body where it might be exposed to the sun. Another way also to use the oils with kids is to make sure that if you're diffusing, that you don't diffuse whilst the baby, especially with babies, whilst the baby is in the room. However, it's really good practice to diffuse in the room before the baby comes in. Well, he won't come in on his own before you bring it in, so that the room has that scent and that kind of presence of the oil, and that most likely you would be diffusing something calming, so that calming effect, and then you can bring the baby in and perhaps put him down for a nap. But diffusing whilst the baby is there might be a bit too much for the lungs, and it might be a bit too strong for the baby. Also, you don't know how the baby is going to react to it, so it's great to just try and just have that scent going without feeling like it's constantly infusing the air with the smell of the oil. And absolutely avoid using oils internally with children unless you have a very specific reason to do it. And I would recommend that you check with your GP before trying to apply or use any oils internally with children. So the rule of thumb would be don't do it. Let me see, I think there is a question before we continue. Can't see how to get to the question, so we'll get there in a sec. When it comes to aging with essential oils, there is probably by the time you've got to your kit, you would know what drove you to getting your essential oils. So you would have issues that you might want to address, or there are things that you want to work on, such as feeling a little bit calmer, maybe, such as feeling relaxed before you go to bed, or maybe there are some digestive issues that you want to address, or headaches, or so on. So creating a routine around your essential oil usage is a great idea. And you can refer to our first call where Patricia talks about how to make sure that you create that routine around them. And here are some tips. And remember, you can always either screenshot this presentation, or you can go back to our website to kind of view this presentation with a little bit more time. But there's things like in the morning, you can have peppermint and frankincense and the soles of your feet for energy. You can have citrus bliss or on guard for mood elevation and to improve your immune system, just diffusing in your house. You can have, well, the daily supplements. We have our second call of this kind of series of calls talks all about the supplements, and the older you get, probably the more you need them. And then you can use just a simple odorless hand or body lotion and add the oils that you like to the lotion to like pimp it up. And some great ones are lavender, rose, frankincense, and geranium. Just for what they do to your skin, they're generally regenerating and soothing for the skin, but also they smell fantastic. And then at night, you could put lavender on the soles of your feet, or you can sprinkle your pillow with lavender to help you rest better. And you can diffuse Serenity or On Guard. So if Serenity would be to help you sleep better, and On Guard would be if you have any seasonal threats, or if there is a change of season like we're kind of going through now, it would be perhaps good practice to diffuse On Guard in the room before you go to bed, just to just boost your nervous system, your immune system. Okay, I can see the chat here now. Is a 13-year-old adult, or should we dilute for 13, 14, 15, 16 to 17-year-olds? So I would say it depends on the kid. So there are so many different factors to take into consideration. So if they tend to have sensitive skin, or skin that is prone to reactions such as eczema and so on, you would still dilute as if it was a child. If the skin is normal, I would say from my intuition that you might not need to dilute more than what you would already for an adult. But I would say refer to that chart in the couple of slides before this, so that you can have an idea of what is recommended by dermatologists. But I would say just always dilute. There is no point in applying neat oils to your skin, no matter how old you are. Then apart from creating a general kind of daily routine around your oil usage, there are certain physical, mental, and emotional issues that you might want to support yourself with oils, using oils when you get to perhaps an older age, such as eyesight. And this might not necessarily be when you're older, it might just be anytime you find issues with your eyesight. And Immortelle is a roll-on that you can apply around the eyes, or in the reflexology points for the eyes, which is at the base of your first and second toe. So right in the kind of cushiony bit of your sole of the foot, between your first and second toe. Any issues with incontinence, you can rub cypress over your bladder, again diluted. Pain and arthritis, there is Deep Blue Rub, which I've already shown you, and there is the Deep Blue capsules, which I cannot rate higher. They're fantastic. My mom and I, we suffer from arthritis, and they're really, really good to help with any joint discomfort. And you can also add turmeric to a veggie cap or to your coffee. Again, something my mom and my dad do. They add a drop of turmeric to their morning coffee every day. If you have any issues with cognitive ability, or if you want to keep your cognitive ability going sharp as you age, then frankincense under the tongue or in the crown of the head, if you don't want to take it internally for any reason, which is fine, you can put a drop of frankincense on the crown of your head every morning. In Tune blend for your temples, which is that study blend that we were talking about before, and vetiver and soles of the feet. And always frankincense diffused is a great aid for our brain and our cognitive ability. If you have any thinning of your hair, rosemary is the best thing to apply for the scalp for hair thinning and hair loss. Peppermint is also great. So a combination of those two, you can just apply drops to your shampoo, to whatever kind of, to your preference, depending on the smell and how much you want it to be noticeable. If you have any issues with both, I also make a serum for the scalp, which has rosemary, peppermint, geranium, which is also very beneficial. Sometimes the issues that we might have with the scalp and hair loss are hormonal, and geranium is in itself a hormone balancer. And it also has lavender, just for the scalp quality and the general kind of soothing benefits of lavender. And then if you have any issues with bone density, which tends to be very common, especially in women as we age, you can use wintergreen and cypress before bed. That's topically. And helichrysum, oregano, and balance in the morning. Again, in those areas where you feel there is an issue with bone density, generally it's around the hips and around the legs. If you have any interest in managing your weight, there is the metabolic blend, which I really don't like the name, but it's called Slim and Sassy. And that is actually really efficient. If you have sugar cravings during the day, you can apply a drop of Slim and Sassy on your water and just take a drink, or just apply it under your tongue. And lastly, if you have any issues with digestion, for digestive support, you can apply Sengest diluted on your belly. Or if you like the taste, which some people don't, but if you do like it, then you can apply one drop in a pint of water and drink it after your meal. There's many other options and many other things that you can do amongst the range of products that doTERRA has. However, the point of our sessions here is to try to get you to use the blends that you have already, use the oils that you already have. So either to make your own blends based on the kids collection, or use the oils, the single oils in these sort of like tips that we're giving you. Yeah, sorry, Evie, it's right. It used to be Slim and Sassy. Now it's Smart and Sassy. I still feel like the name is not great. Yeah, so this is it. That was it. That's the chat today about how to use your oils from the moment you're a baby until you're an older person, human being. Next session, we're going to talk about skincare, and that's with Evie, and that's next Monday. So I'm going to give you a moment to ask any questions. If you have any questions, you can either message or unmute yourselves and let me know what they are. Slim and Sassy is also known as Smart and Sassy European market, but still when ordering some products, you get the US logo. Yeah, I think it's Slim and Sassy in the US. I don't know, or Smart and Sassy. I mean, really, honestly, Sassy, it's a bit weird, but it really works. And they also have some gum that is infused with the oil, and it really works as well. I had that, I bought that for a while and it was good. Another tip as well, if you have sugar cravings, you can also get cinnamon oil, like a single oil, and just put a toothpick inside the little thing, the cap that it has, and just a little bit of cinnamon oil on the tip of your tongue helps reduce sugar cravings. That's just in general for anybody who's looking to have that control, especially if towards the winter you tend to eat more sugary stuff. Great. So if there aren't any more questions, this is it. It was 30 minutes, so great. But if you do have questions after you look at this recording in the future, you can always message us either directly through our Instagram or send us an email. It's oilcollectiveuk@gmail.com. Thank you so much.